Hello folks, welcome to Netcruzer RC. Alright, we're finally going to do the video of comparing the TLR 22 5.0 DC Elite with the Yokomo YZ-2 DTM3 that I'm going to start racing in 2021. As I've mentioned in the past, I'm going to be changing off of my TLR 22. This is the car that I raced through all of 2020, my two-wheel drive buggy, and I've just started taking the electronics out of it. Here's all the electronics that I have out of it now. I was running the 13.5 turn SMC Lowrider, an old Tekin RS Pro speed control, and AGF RC SAMWA compatible receiver, ARX 482R. All of those components I will transplant out of my TLR 22 into the Yokomo for the first couple of races just to get a direct comparison. Then I will eventually upgrade the speed control with a hobby wing that will give me additional features that I do not have on this old Tekin. Servo wise, I will also transfer the servo out if I can get it out of this buggy. That's one of the things I'm going to explain when we start comparing them side by side, is the differences and why I'm struggling to get the servo out. Here we have the TLR 22 5.0 DC Elite versus the Yokomo YZ-2 DTM3. This is a used car. It has about 6 or 7 months of racing on it, and mine has about 8 months of racing on it. So they have comparable wear time, and I just want to show you some of the design differences of why I think this is going to be the better choice for me. I will say that there are some benefits to the TLR. In general, I do think that some of the materials and fit and finish is better on the TLR, but the design and ease of maintenance and tuning access is better on the Yokomo. Initial impressions, I haven't actually ran this personally yet, but just based on the feature set alone, the Yokomo does have additional features that the TLR does not have for tuning and maintenance. Now, at first glance, they're pretty similar, but also have quite a few differences as well. The Yokomo is shorter. I've got the rear axles fairly aligned, and the Yokomo is shorter by a couple of millimeters. The front shock tower height on the TLR is higher than the front of the Yokomo, but the rear seem about the same. Both of them have this type of a waterfall type motor mounting system, although this one's more squared off. Both of them have quick, easy access battery removal systems. The TLR uses this elastomer type rubber band system, which is adjustable, and the Yokomo uses this screw on a clamp type system, so you can just quickly pivot this out of the way, as well as this all pivots, and this is also adjustable for positioning as well. These run 2S shorty stick packs. Both of them have removable electronics trays. Since this one is a TLR Elite, it does have better materials, carbon fiber tray, as opposed to a plain plastic on the Yokomo. One of the first things about the TLR that bugged me when I was doing the initial build is that the ball cups are sealed. And so since they don't have hold access, that means that if I ever want to tune this, if I wanted to change my roll center or anything like that, there's no easy way to do this without, well, I mean, it's still easy, but it wears out the ball cup. So you have to pop it off and then unscrew, set your adjustment, pop it back on. As opposed to on other race cars where you have hold access, you can just unscrew it while keeping the ball cup contained, make your adjustment, and screw it back down again without ever having to pop your ball on and off of the stud. As well as these are bigger diameter balls as well, so they just feel like they pivot nicer. These ones are a little bit gritty almost, even though there's no hole. And I believe one of the TLR's reasons for saying that they don't like hold access anymore is because it lets dirt in, and they were popping off and wearing out prematurely. I'm not sure why they flip back and forth. I think the 4.0 had hold access and 5.0 got rid of it. I much prefer on all my race cars having hold access in the turnbuckle ball cups. The TLR, while I don't like its ball cups, one of the benefits of the Elite is that it comes with titanium turnbuckles. All of the links are all titanium in this car, as opposed to on the Yokomo, they would be steel. Unless it was upgraded, which I don't think it was. This car does have a couple of other upgrades for metal. This front bulkhead support has been upgraded to the aluminum piece that is normally plastic. I'm not sure if these servo standoffs are normally plastic, but my car has the aluminum. As well as probably one of the most important upgrades is the front bulkhead. The underside bulkhead that holds the arms on, this has been replaced to aluminum. This is the piece that breaks the most. On the TLR 22, it is still plastic. I never broke a part on this car. I must say, for materials wise, the TLR was excellent for reliability. I didn't break a single thing, and I had plenty of hard collisions. As you can see, there's paint on the front here where I've hit walls, and I've rubbed up against many things over the past 8 months and hit many things, and it's got wear marks, but nothing ever broke on this car. I know some guys were breaking axles and other rear end parts. I've not had that issue at all, so I was very happy with the reliability of my TLR. I just don't enjoy working on it. And I'm ready to try something else for the channel to compare and see how I like that next. You can see how the kick up of the chassis is a little bit more rounded on the Yokomo. So the kick up is a little bit less pronounced, but I will be running a chassis protector on this after I get it built up. This one I did not run a chassis protector, and I'm a little annoyed at how scratched up it got. So I normally don't care, but for how new this car is, it does have a lot of deep grooves in the chassis. Now, even if you run a chassis protector, you still get wear. So here's the wear mark on the rear of the chassis versus the wear mark on the rear of my chassis for the TLR. One of the other things I didn't like about the TLR is the legacy screws here, the 0.50, the little dinky screws here, which are going into these hinge blocks. There's no need for that. That's a legacy thing that they kept for cross compatibility with the older TLRs. This has a standard, 4 screw array. The rear blocks and inserts are very similar as most race cars, where these are adjustable. So this is what changes your toe out and your kick up or your anti-squat in the rear, and a similar situation on the TLR. One of the differences is that you have this roll center adjustment or camber adjustment on the rear plate, which is also an aluminum metal piece on the TLR Elite, and it's plastic on the Yokomo. The other significant reason why I'm moving over to the Yokomo is for ease of diff access. The TLR, as mentioned in previous videos, TLR from the original TLR 22 all the way up to this latest and greatest TLR 22 5.0 DC Elite does not have easy access differential. In order to get the differential out, you have to take the whole transmission out, tear it apart. It's over 20 screws. To do it on this, I believe it's around 8. It's a split diff case. You can take the screws out and the whole thing pops apart. I've not done it personally, but it is one of the design features of the Yokomo and other two-wheel drive race cars is easy access, rear diff access for the ball differential. Because when you race on dirt, a ball differential wears out. You can tune them, you can tweak them, you can change the ball type, you can change the rings. There's a bunch of tweaks that you can do to your ball diff to maintain them, and accessing your ball diff is something that you're going to want to do on a two-wheel drive buggy often if racing in dirt, to keep it at its ideal working ratio. The third major thing that I did not like about the TLR, and I'm sorry if this is sounding a little bit negative, because there are certainly some good things about this car, I just didn't like working on it. Servo. The access of the servo system is ridiculous. Look at how tight the bell crank is to the servo horn, and getting the servo out is a problem, and getting the servo in is a problem. Because of the way they've molded this bulkhead, they did not give very much room at all for getting a servo in and out. It's extremely tight access in there. And actually now I'm having a problem getting the servo out. I've gotten everything else out of this car except for the servo, because this servo mount, even though it's a nice Elite aluminum piece, I have stripped out the screws that hold it on. That's going to be a little bit of an issue to get that servo out, so I'm going to have to use my bit extractor to work on that. As opposed to on the Yokomo, look at how much more room you have in the servo area. It's hard to visualize with the servo in there, but you can see that it lifts up. So you have room to get your fingers in there and adjust your bell cranks and get your servo horn on, as well as the servo mount is much simpler. It's only the two standoffs. They are metal, nice, and you can see that you have so much more room in here for steering access. Nice thing about the Elite is this is the Brian Kinwald Elite special edition type box and special edition car. I do want to try and keep this as nice as possible to find out what I want to do with it, or if I'm going to do that conversion to a drag car, but overall I'm going to keep it as a full buggy right now. I just got to get that servo out. As for the Yokomo, this is the 2019, I believe, vehicle. This is the newest two-wheel drive Yokomo that they make, and here's some of the on-the-box features for the Yokomo YZ-2 DTM3. So you get a 5.5 millimeter ball studs, new molded bell crank, and electronics tray. Here's your adjustments for diff height, new rear shock tower and rear mounting positions, and you also get 2 transmissions. So there's an additional transmission in the kit. You get a lay down dirt and a lay down carpet transmission. As opposed to TLRs, you only got 1 transmission. Elite, you only got the dirt one. Yokomo will continue to provide the best available technology to RC enthusiasts all over the world. Enjoy this product knowing that you are driving one of the best handling RC cars ever designed. That's their tagline. Since this was made, Team Yokomo has kind of fallen from grace a little bit. They lost a lot of their team drivers, but we're hoping that they have a comeback and they don't end up going out of business. They do have new ownership. Hopefully they can continue on and make some new stuff and compete with the rest of the teams. Speaking of some of the old team members, here's some 2013 to 2017, 2013, 2015, 2017 off-road winner, Ryan Mayfield off-road world champion, and Ryan Cavallari off-road champion. Since I bought this Yokomo used, let me show you some of the gear I got with it. Now, first of all, since it was built at the track many months ago, the instructions were lost. So I did do a print off the internet of the instructions. So I have everything here about how to service and build the car if I need to. So that's a good tip. If you ever lose your documentation, most of these common big name buggies, you can get their instructions off of the internet. So I'll have every part that I need in it and how to replace everything. Now, inside the kit, I received 2 bodies. One of them is an unpainted. Now, the Yokomo YZ-2 DTM3 comes with a J Concepts body, so this is exactly the body that you get. It's just been mocked up for paint that was never done. And here's an example of a body that was painted and ready to go. One of his first paint styles that he tried. And my old TLR 22 body is so close to fitting, it will, with a couple of small modifications, I can make this body fit on the Yokomo, and I likely will. Then we have a new wing and some new rear tires. Now, this was a mistake, gold ellipses, but because they're a directional tire, they were accidentally glued and mounted both going the same direction, so that's no good. You need one to go one way and one the other. But all I have to do to fix that is I bought an actual set of Yokomo offset wheels, so we're good to go there. Those are the fronts. Here are the rears. Set of ellipses, which I will glue onto these rims in this same incorrect way, but the opposite of this. We'll have 2 complete new sets of rear Yokomo offset ellipse tires. And then I'll build out some new fronts, and now I've got new wheels and new tires for the Yokomo. Also, since I'm making such a big deal about the Yokomo having easy access rear diff that my TLR does not have, I bought some diff service parts. Thrust washer diff balls and new drive rings for when I get the diff out. So those were some of the things that I bought to go along to fix this wheel and tire thing. But here's some of the other stuff that we get in the kit. Here is the other transmission housing. Okay, now this is interesting. The transmission that is not in use is the lay down dirt transmission housing. Transmission that is currently on the car and has been raced all year long was the LC, the lay down carpet. So I'll have to do some research on that and find out why that was chosen for our track. And some of the gears are in here as well that go along with it. These are shock oils, a 300 weight and a 400 weight shock oil. And here are all the spare parts that I got with this vehicle. Some of them are transmission gears. Some of the other things are things like the thrust balls and diff servicing, a bunch of ball cups, and other random plastic parts. Here's a shock tool, any of the extra stuff that came with this vehicle, an antenna whip that I will not use. For the Yokomo, there also is a front wing assembly, which I was using on the TLR, and it looks like the Yokomo has it as an option as well. Inside of the envelope, I have some Yokomo decals or decals, stickers for everyone, a new chassis protector by ProTech RC, and a couple of setup sheets. So that's where we're at with the difference in the two-wheel drive buggies. I'm looking forward to when the tracks reopen and I can actually test out this Yokomo. I'm going to be getting all these electronics installed in the car, as well as getting the servo to this one. Alrighty guys, so if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're new on here, subscribe. If you want to talk to me, leave a comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching. As for what's going to happen with the TLR, I've mentioned in a previous video that I'm considering doing the Exotech drag conversion on this car, or I might end up doing that drag conversion to a Traxxas and then just sell this off. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to hold on to it for a few months until I figure that out. As well as I want to see that I actually like the Yokomo. There is a possibility that I could find that I do not like this and go back to the TLR. I think that's unlikely. This has better things for me, in my personal opinions about what's good to have on a race car. So I'm looking forward to running the Yokomo. Alright guys, thanks for watching.